Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there was a beautiful princess named Elida. She was the favorite of the kingdom. Her parents had provided her with every opportunity and given her the best education. But Elida was still unhappy. Even though she wandered around the palace gardens every day and smelled the beautiful flowers, it was not enough for her. She was curious about the outside world. One day, Princess Elida was walking sadly in the palace gardens. She was dreaming of watching the flowing river, freely roaming birds, and smelling the seas that hit the shore. She sat quietly under a tree, crying, when suddenly a fairy appeared. Upon seeing the fairy, Elida was startled and asked, "Who are you?" The fairy replied, "I am a fairy. I listen to the problems of sad people and work to make them happy." These words softened Elida's heart, and she formed a smile on her face. The fairy said, "Ask me for anything you want." Elida thought for a while and said, "I want to see the forests, the seas, and the animals. I want to run freely and skip rocks in the sea." The fairy said, "Let's think about what we can do. This request is not impossible. I can take you there right away, but you can also handle this without me. Remember, there is no problem that cannot be solved by talking. All you need to do is talk to your family." Elida was surprised and asked, "How can I do that?" The fairy replied, "Just talk to them. Remember, there is no problem that cannot be solved by talking. All you need to do is know how to talk." Elida agreed with the fairy and realized that she had never talked to her family about her desires. "Thank you so much. I never thought about this. I only focused on my unhappiness and became even more unhappy," she said. The fairy smiled at Elida and suddenly disappeared, just as she had come. Elida immediately entered the palace and went up to her room. She planned the conversation she would have during dinner. Without realizing how time passed, the dinner bell rang and she went to join her family. When her parents saw their daughter, they said, "Welcome, my beautiful daughter. You look different today. Seeing you smile like this makes us very happy." Elida said, "Yes, Mom and Dad. I am a little happy today and I want to talk to you about something." Her parents replied excitedly, "We are listening to you." Elida said, "Until today, you have done everything possible for me. I have studied with the best teachers, eaten the most delicious food, and worn the most beautiful clothes. But I no longer want these things. I want to explore nature, walk in the forest, dip my feet in the sea. If necessary, I want to work like ordinary people on the same streets." The king and queen were surprised and also happy as they didn't know about their daughter's desires. The queen said, "These are beautiful desires, my dear. We thought you only wanted to live in the palace, because you never talked to us about these before." Elida replied, "I used to be afraid of speaking up, but I realized that these are things that a fairy doesn't need to fulfill, and I can achieve them on my own. There's no problem that can't be solved by talking. And now I've learned that." The king and queen hugged their daughter and were proud of her. The next day, the three of them went to the forest for a picnic, and the following day, they went swimming in the sea. They spent their days happily ever after. Elida was now very happy, and she had learned the importance of speaking up. The fairy tale ended here.